Hello and welcome to our nostalgic look back at the Star Wars games. This week's we are looking at Star Wars Dark Forces, the 1995 first-person shooter that was released kind of in the same vein as Doom. Now, Doom came out 2 years before Dark Forces did, and set the standard for quite a lot of FPS games at that time, both Doom and Doom 2. And Star Wars decided that, of course, they were going to get in on that. So published and developed by LucasArts, they decided, you know what? Doom with Star Wars. It's a great idea, let's roll with it. And the game was actually received incredibly well. Using their own Jedi engine, went on to be the first in a line from 95 till 2003 of Jedi Knight games. Star Wars Dark Forces was its own game, but eventually became the starting point for that franchise, when we eventually get Dark Forces 2, Jedi Academy, and Jedi Outcast. Dark Forces 2 being the point where the Jedi Knight title comes into it. Now, looking back at it, was a game that I never played. My first delve into the Jedi Knight series was in fact Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. And Kyle Katarn is a character that I've spoken about in previous videos and on stream about how I think he'd be quite good for Disney Plus to make a series on. And our first meeting, shall we say, with Kyle is in fact in Dark Forces here. So we deal with Kyle Katarn in this game. He's the character that we play as, and he is who we play as throughout the other Jedi Knight games. Now, we're going to deal with the elements of the game, how they've aged, how all that's looking. But first off, we're going to deal with the pixelated elephant in the room. The graphics don't hold up. Of course the graphics are not going to hold up. The game is from 1995. You compare that to the standards that we expect nowadays, and it's borderline realism is what we have now. You know, it's just not happening. However, with that being said, the game itself actually doesn't look terrible for the time. The characters look like two-dimensional cardboard cutouts animated to come at you. And there's a level later on where we dealt with gun turrets that were attached basically to the ceiling. And you can't tell they're there. You can't really see them. They're just like a white square with a rod coming out of it. And it shoots you. But this is on a level that was a lot of white ceilings, so you don't really see these turrets. But they'll kill you quite quickly. And the levels are quite confusing, with no direction really where you're supposed to be going, and due to how the graphics have aged, is not very easy to discern where you're actually supposed to be going. So, if the graphics were cleaner, it would work better. Now, I got to mission 6, and it for some reason wasn't letting me finish. But you could definitely play this entire game in probably about 4 hours, 5 hours. We did the first 2 levels a little bit earlier, and we did 4 of the levels earlier today. And that was about 2 hours that it took me to do those 4. Like, you could play this game in about 5 hours if you wanted to. And its actual gameplay is quite good. Very much in the Doom variety. You move through the level, you're blasting your way through stormtroopers and other Imperial forces, get the quest objective, get back to where you landed in, you're out there. Nice and easy, no problem. And it all ties in with the story that is a fairly by-the-numbers kind of thing. Imperials have a bad idea, rebels want to stop it, that's our job. You're going through whatever you need to do to stop it. But what it did do was it introduced the Dark Troopers. This is where they come into it. The Dark Trooper project that was started in this game, that got used in expanded Star Wars universe and even into the Mandalorian. This is where they started, I believe. I'm saying that with confidence, but I'm pretty sure that's what the case is. It led to more, but is a fairly by-the-numbers kind of deal. The biggest problem with how the gameplay and whatnot is working in this, though, is how dated combat mechanic is. So, like Doom, you're not so much aiming, you're kind of getting close to it, and then the game has an aimbot. It shoots in the correct direction for you. You have to get it close enough for it to pick up. Which is all good and well, except there's quite a lot of time where there's things shooting at you from above, but you can't look up. And the game can't shoot high enough from where you are. But if you step back to get more of that angle, you then go too far away for the gun to shoot. And it just shoots straight as opposed to going up the way. If something's moving quickly, you know, you can't hit it because you're essentially aiming and then aiming close enough for it to shoot. But you've not got a crosshair or anything, so you don't know what you're aiming at. So you can't really aim for it. It's a fairly dated mechanic for how to fight. And that was actually the biggest frustration for me, was I wasn't dying from combat, I was dying from falling on one of the annoying levels, but I wasn't dying from combat, but there was points where it was very difficult to fight because it wasn't me aiming. It wasn't my aim, it was some program's aim that I had to get close enough for. If things were too far away, I'd be dropping them. I would be opening fire, I would be taking shots at them. But in this, no, game isn't going to aim it for me, so I can't hit them. They're too far away for you to shoot. You can't shoot that thing up on the ledge, you can't shoot down, you can't see where you're supposed to be going. One of the levels has me having to drop down onto a ledge. I didn't know there was a ledge there, because I can't look down. It's a very annoying thing, and it's a very dated mechanic, and it feels very dated compared to what we can do now. We can obviously look around in 360-degree rotation, up and down the way, any direction you want. How much things have moved is quite stark when you look back at these games. And it's actually not overly terrible, to be honest. The game itself is quite fun, but its age is very apparent. And that's one of the major things. It feels like a game that was released then. Even though at the time it actually introduced new technical elements from its supposed predecessor of Doom, it does add some new things. It adds some new abilities that you didn't have in Doom. The ability to crouch and to jump and things like that. It's all things got added into this Jedi engine. And the games that it spawns later become some of the best that Star Wars have. To be fair, Dark Forces was received incredibly well. It sold very well and had about 1 million units, something like that. After a few years, it was only when it got released on the PlayStation that it really did badly. The PC version of it was done very well. It also created a character that we enjoyed enough as fans because we got Kyle for every Jedi Knight game. Kyle is the main character, Kyle Katarn. He is the character that we play as the whole time. But this game is dated. This game doesn't play well. It's the graphics are just too bad. Your walls and things all look the same. I spent so long trying to move around, not know where the fuck I'm going because everything looks the same. One of the things as well with the graphics is you've got a weapon bob. So your gun moves around like some sort of omnipresent force user's trying to hypnotize you. And because your brain sees that you're moving but you're not moving, there's a bit of motion sickness kicks in. And on most monitors and things nowadays, because it uses MS-DOS as its original platform, you're going to get a box that is probably about the same size as your phone. That's what you're playing that on. It's not the easiest to play. However, with that being said, if you had like a spare 5 hours and you wanted to go through the old Star Wars games, this kinda works. Not gonna lie. You could spend some time on it, you probably have some fun. For me, there are better Star Wars games to go back to. I would probably skip this one and go to Jedi Outcast. Or one of the later ones before you go back to this. It's just The gameplay elements are dated, those mechanics, and the graphics are very dated. I know I said at the start of it that, you know, they're 95, they can't compete, but these are particularly bad. It's bright in places, but also, nah. So yeah, that's kind of what I would go with. It could be fun to spend some hours on, but I wouldn't recommend this being your first jump back. If you can get it for not too much, go for it. I'd probably give this like a 5 out of 10. Right. 5 out of 10 for Star Wars Dark Forces. Join us next week, and we will look at Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. And we'll see how that holds up. Thank you very much for watching the video, and for joining us in our first nostalgic Star Wars video. If you liked it, and you want to come and hang out with us, subscribe to the channel, and you can come chill with us in our live streams. We'll also be putting out shorts, plus there will be more of the Star Wars content as the weeks go on. So definitely join us then. Also, feel free to leave me a comment, see if there's any kind of Star Wars games that you're particularly looking forward to looking at, any older games in general that you think, you know what, Red, you should definitely check these out, and let me know what you think. Or if you just have different thoughts on Dark Forces, you let me know. I'm very much interested to see what people say. But for sure, swing by those live streams. I am always willing to chat to people with the variety of games that we play. Until then, you have a good one, and I hope to see you soon.